Hi friends! I just wanted to make a very quick video. I was on set the other day and so the scene I was doing involved a murder scene, and this guy had been shot, so for some reason they needed a dummy to place in his position rather than having, for example, pardon me, rather than having a stand-in. I don't really understand why they needed that, but for some reason I guess they needed the realism for the stand-in. It just, whatever, it doesn't matter. Point is they had this dummy take his place, and so they brought out this dummy who had blood on his face, a wound on his mouth, and so when they brought it out, it looked so realistic that I thought it was actually a real body. But it was obviously lifeless, and so they laid it down, and I was so struck by it that I kept staring at it because I couldn't believe that it was fake. And the incredible amount of detail in the hands and the feet and the face, it was jarring to the point that it shocked me, because this is how they fake the hoaxes. They use these dummies that look so real that even if you stare at it close up, you would be convinced, because especially if you're in a traumatized state, thinking that you're in some kind of event where either an explosion has gone off, or a van has gone down the street and hit random passersby, or some shooting has occurred and there's dead bodies everywhere, you're going to be in a state of shock, and you're not going to look closely enough to determine whether or not this is a real person. And so I asked the woman who was carrying this dummy, is this made out of silicone? And she said yes, but it was only the head, hands, and feet that were made out of silicone. The rest of the body was not. It was just stuffing. But there are also dummies that are fully silicone that are anatomically correct. So you could possibly have dead bodies naked or almost naked, and you still wouldn't be able to tell whether they're real or not. So, and the prosthetics or the effects that they put on the body are so realistic that you wouldn't be able to tell that it was fake. This is how they fake the hoaxes. And it is shocking how real it is. So I just wanted to share that with you. Another aspect of what I learned from this day, I was there and I was privileged to sit with 3 firefighters who were telling me stories about their jobs and what they do, and so I probed, asking certain questions to find out what kind of jobs they go to, how it works, that sort of thing. So a couple of years ago there was a murder in Oshawa, and I kind of wondered whether it was real or not, because it was so fantastical. It was like straight out of a crime story, kind of crazy. And not to say that these things don't happen, it just makes me wonder, when they're that crazy, how realistic they are. So whether it was real or not isn't really the issue. What I wanted to find out was how these people find out about these events. Even if they are hoaxes, this would be how they find out. So a lot of times if somebody calls 911, the dispatch goes out to all emergency vehicles, all emergency personnel. So police get it, ambulance gets it, and firefighters get it. They don't even know what they're going to half of the time. They don't know until they get there. And if the firefighters arrive and they come onto a crime scene and it's for police, they wait till the police arrive, or they call the police. They don't touch anything. If there's something that's happening in the event in progress, then they will do their best to intervene if they possibly can. But they're not really equipped. Police are only equipped to intervene. So really they're there to rescue, and sometimes they're there to help, like paramedics. Anyway, if somebody has a specific need for police or firefighters or paramedics, they will call them directly, and then they will be dispatched. So the murder that happened here a couple of years ago was an event where this guy was flushing body parts down the toilet, and he was also disposing of them by feeding them in sandwiches to the homeless. Disgusting. It was just so sensational that it just doesn't seem like it could possibly be real, but they didn't really do a huge amount of coverage on it, and you would think that a story like this is kind of on Paul Bernardo level. They didn't give it the same amount of coverage as Paul Bernardo, which is probably fake. But it just goes to show you the difference in media coverage. Now, this situation, these police were called. So the guy who lived there was having plumbing issues, and that's how he found out what was going on. He went downstairs to look at the plumbing, and the guy who had done it was standing right behind him, and he pretended to not know anything or see anything. And so the murderer said, like, well, what do you see? What's the problem? And the guy said, oh, I don't know, I don't really see much, I'm just gonna have to call a plumber, or something to that effect. And so he called the police. Sorry, I got cut off there. So yeah, then they discovered there were 2 bodies. Anyway, so I asked him how he found out about this, because he wasn't on the scene, it was just police. And I even drove past once and saw the police tape outside, and this was months later. And obviously, if it was a hoax, they wouldn't be there months later, so it's gotta be real. And so anyway, yeah, so the police were called, but he, being a firefighter, was not called. Obviously, they called him directly. So I asked how he found out about it, and he says, oh, it's basically word of mouth. When they're called to a scene and the police are there, they spread the word about the case. And so it just spreads through the department, and then the department spreads through to the other emergency people and other people like me who talk to these people and ask questions and find out about it. So this is how it happens. And it happens like this in, normal life too. You talk to somebody who happens to be at one of these events, whether it's real or not, like the Toronto van incident, for example. My sister-in-law was there, but I won't ask her what she saw, because first of all, she won't tell me an accurate representation. But anyway, she's just not capable of giving details. That's what I mean. So anyway, most people, when you ask them what they see, they will tell you what they think they saw. So they'll say, oh, I saw bodies flying everywhere. Well, you didn't. You saw bodies on the road after the fact, or on the sidewalk after the fact. And so what they see, so like I've talked to a soldier and I said, well, what did you see? They said, well, I saw a bus blow up. So, well, did you actually see the bus blow up, or did you see it after the fact? He said, I saw it after the fact. So the way they describe it, they didn't actually see the event itself, they see the aftermath. And then they fill in the gaps, or they elaborate, or they misrepresent themselves. And they don't do it on purpose, it's just the way that they express themselves. And some people do it on purpose. But anyway, my point is that it is easy for people to say that they were somewhere when a hoax happened, and that they saw it, and they saw the dead bodies, and they saw the actual event, when they actually didn't see it. And people don't usually ask questions very specifically. What did you really see? Did you see the event in progress, or did you see it after the fact? What did you see? Did you see the dead bodies? Did you see people dying? Did you see people wounded? they don't ask specific questions, and so they just sort of take it at face value and say, yeah, you know, I saw the event, I was there, it really happened. No, it didn't. What you saw was a Hollywood movie. And when these dummies are put out on the ground and they look so lifelike, it's easy to be fooled. So this is how easy it is for them to take these events and make them look real and convince people that they're real, convince people who are there that they're real, when in actual fact they aren't. And anyway, there was another point I wanted to make about these events. So a little while ago, near here, there was a body found, and it had been just some unfortunate guy. They don't really know yet what the whole story is, which is another reason why you know it's real, because they don't follow the story and they don't tell us what really happened. They'll follow the story on some hoax to the bitter end and milk it for all it's worth, but anything real, they just give up on it. So this poor guy was into drugs and ended up by the creek, and I guess he died. I don't know whether he OD'd or what happened, or if there's foul play. They haven't said. So the situation was, they found a body, or some pedestrian found a body, a fisherman did, and they called the police. The police show up. Within hours, they show up. So they didn't rush there right away. They show up within hours. They are there for a couple hours. The media doesn't show up right away. The police are there for several hours before the media shows up. And the coverage that is given to this is bare minimum. Basically, all they said was, body found by the creek, fisherman found it, no ID. If you have any information, please come to the police. They do not tell you the identity of the victim, because they don't know, first of all. They don't tell you anything about it, because they need people to come forward in case there's foul play, and so they can investigate. If they give out information before the fact, they're basically putting the person on trial without any fairness, which is what hoaxes are for. So anyway, I just thought it was interesting to show the comparison of a real event versus a hoax, and also how easy it is to fake these events and make people believe that they're real. Hope you guys are doing well. I will talk to you soon. Bye.